Hello, HEXO traders and investors. It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Tuesday, June 28th. Hope you're well today. And in this short video, going to be discussing Zenabis filing for creditor protection, what exactly this means for HEXO, for Zenabis. Sundial is also involved now, once again, and I'm going to go over my thoughts and opinions, getting lots of questions about this, what it means, what my thoughts and opinions are. Going to dive into all that and more, but before we do, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me, and the channel doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell to be notified on any future videos. This news came out on June 17th. I went over it in a couple live streams, but I wanted to dedicate a video specifically and try to keep it a little bit shorter because I know a lot of people tend to not watch any videos if they're lengthy, right? So trying to keep this one a little shorter today. But again, not new information. My parents were visiting from the East Coast, so I wasn't really in my regular setup and I was spending time with family. But back into my regular routine, and we'll go over this article here from MJ Biz Daily, reported by Matt Lamers. So Canadian MJ company Zenabis Global files for creditor protection. Essentially, they are going bankrupt, and not going to read this whole entire article, but the reasons for the filing: Zenabis cited margin pressures caused by the fragmentation of overall MJ industry, general operational and financial underperformance, and financial pressures resulting from debt. And just goes on to say that they're going to be filing for creditor protection under the CCAA. And Zenabis had 564 employees when HEXO bought it a year ago. And a lot of things have changed with Zenabis and HEXO and the overall mission and the overall business plan and what is actually needed from this acquisition. As you know, HEXO acquired Redican shortly after acquiring Zenabis, and they recently just partnered with Tilray as well, and they're now not really in a position where they need Zenabis. And the reason why they don't need Zenabis is because they have this Tilray deal, and they're going to be sourcing products from Tilray for international. So with regards to Zenabis, they had an EU GMP certified facility in Malta, which was HEXO's into the EU markets, right? So Malta, Germany, and other countries in the EU, but now they don't need that because you can see here that HEXO enters into a definitive agreement with Tilray Brands to create a strategic alliance between the two Canadian MJ leaders. And you can see here in the commercial agreements, HEXO will source MJ products for international markets, excluding Canada and US, exclusively from Tilray Brands. So why would they need Zenabis if they don't need that EU GMP certified facility? Tilray has EU GMP certification, so they'll just source those products for international markets directly from Tilray. But in Canada and the US, HEXO has fair game to do as they please. But anything international must come from Tilray as part of this new commercial partnership and agreement. And Sundial also made a stalking horse bid for assets of MJ company Zenabis. Sundial purchased debt of Zenabis as well. This isn't the first time they've been in the mix, but essentially what this means is before it goes to auction, before Zenabis assets go to auction, they're going to get a potential offer here from Sundial, and it's just going to maximize the amount of value from those assets before going to an auction and potentially getting even less value, right? So that's essentially what it means. Just before it goes to auction, they're going to try and step in and potentially make a bid for that. And what they're likely doing is trying to get that EU GMP certification, right, and expand into international markets. They're also going to get Atholville and a few other facilities. So right now, what does this mean for HEXO? Well, HEXO doesn't need Zenabis that much anymore because of Redican. It has the facilities from Redican that it's utilizing heavily at the moment, and we know that they closed Belleville and laid off a bunch of people, and they're moving all of that equipment to Masson in Quebec, and they're also moving it to the Redican facility in Ontario. So they're relying less and less on Zenabis and more on Redican, and again, because of that international agreement with Tilray, they no longer need that Malta facility, and it's overall going to save on costs, right? And HEXO gets to keep the brands and the IP, so the intellectual property. HEXO just released the straight edge pre-rolls, the pre-roll joints, and they're ultra sour and gelato strains at the moment. So ultra sour came from Zenabis, and this is just Sundial stepping in and looking to acquire those assets and just expand its footprint and also into international markets. And what that means for HEXO, again, it's going to save a ton of money. We're not going to have to worry about managing multiple facilities, and they're going to be able to just cut costs wherever they can, right? And again, with this new Tilray partnership, they're going to have access to $282 million in cash, and they're also going to save about $80 million between the two companies in savings, right? In cost savings. Also want to mention that tomorrow we have Fed Chair Powell speaking in the morning, and we also have some pretty key economic data from GDP coming out tomorrow. So we're going to be watching for some turbulence potentially in the broader market. But taking a look at HEXO at the moment, it is a weekly bear flag that's confirming anything under 43 cents on that prior weekly bounce here from the week of June 6th was a potential weekly bear flag. And we are losing that support, so we confirmed the weekly bear flag, and the target is 13 cents right now. You could 13.7 cents, so we'll round it up to about 14 cents. We have to be prepared for more downside if we see more economic data come in that is absolutely terrible, which it has been. And SPY has yet to confirm a daily uptrend. Looks like we could see another leg down in the S&P 500. If that happens, we need to come to terms with the fact that MJ could potentially see another leg down. If we take a look at CGC, it's a weekly bear flag as well. I just did a video on CGC. There were some articles about it potentially going bankrupt. So I gave my thoughts and opinions. You can check that out, that video that I just posted. But essentially, it's not all doom and gloom. If we take a look at HEXO here on the daily time frame, we are back in, well, actually, no, we haven't confirmed a daily uptrend yet. We're looking for an uptrend, and we got quite a bit of room here now to form a higher low compared to the low there at 19 cents. So we'll look to form a higher low, and then if we hold that support at 19 cents and break resistance at 24 cents, that's going to confirm a daily uptrend. It's basically just mirroring SPY right now, the S&P 500. This is what SPY is doing. But if we take a look at a name like Tilray, Tilray is actually in a daily uptrend with a low, high, higher low, and higher high. Now we're scouting a daily higher low compared to 314. So we are starting to see some daily uptrends across the sector. But again, we know that the S&P 500 is still yet to confirm a daily uptrend, and we've got bear flags on the weekly on HEXO, CGC. There could be more downside. It doesn't look like there's going to be any major catalyst anytime in the next couple of weeks. We know that HEXO is likely going to release its CPG partner. They said on the 28th of April that it'd be in the coming weeks, but they said first product would be sold to the SQDC in Quebec, which is an edible. They said it's more than cookies, granola bars, it's other food products as well. I think it's Kellogg's, but we'll want to see official confirmation. HEXO can't say anything, and they're under NDA, non-disclosure agreement, and they have to wait until the CPG partner issues a press release. What do we know about Kellogg's? Well, they were going through a huge strike at the beginning of the year, and that lasted about 3 months. So that likely set things back, and they're also dividing their business into 3 different separate companies. So that obviously set things back as well. But the thing that we always knew was that Tilray deal got delayed, and that likely delayed other things as well. They're focusing on that, and they said that the product wouldn't be sold, the first product wouldn't be sold to the SQDC by the end of summer, right? So sometime between April 28th and the end of summer. So as we know, it was going to be a couple of months anyways. And like I said, because the Tilray deal got delayed, because of the other factors involved with Kellogg's, I think that's why we're seeing it delayed. But I do think that it's going to be coming at some point in the next couple of months. We could see some updates with regards to safe banking and legalization into the fall with the midterms coming as well. And the Democrats are in control of the Senate, but they haven't really done anything in terms of reform with regards to MJ, right? So they may want to protect their position in the Senate, and they could look to pass some sort of comprehensive reform, whether it be in form of safe banking or actual full-blown legalization progress. We'll take what we can get, but at the moment, we're just looking for a daily higher low and a higher high on on HEXO, just like Tilray. In terms of the weekly moving averages and the chart here on the weekly, the MACD is still bullish, and we did see a bull cross of the stochastic. The 10-week moving average there at 27 cents. We also have the 50-day moving average at 30 cents. So that's going to be a key level to get over, as we've been rejecting for many months now. And then in terms of the weekly moving averages, we have nothing nearby until the 50 at 118. And once we see any kind of safe banking, legalization progress, any of that, these names are so beaten down that we could easily see 100 to 200, 300% move, in my opinion, in a very relatively short period of time. Not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. But personally, this is not a big deal if you're worried about Zenabis and creditor protection. Personally, I think that is just, it was inevitable, and they're saving a ton of costs, right? We know Canopy laid off, I think, 8% of its workforce. Aurora just laid off 12% of its workforce. So it's not just HEXO, it's not just Tilray that's struggling. It's all of MJ. Even companies in the U.S. are downsizing, and we know Tesla cut about 10% of its workforce, and a multitude of other companies who have been really strong over the last couple of years, right? So it's not just isolated to HEXO. It's the market conditions are pretty poor overall. But in summary, I would say that this is a net positive because we're not duplicating the efforts. We don't need Zenabis anymore as a result of this Tilray deal. We don't need Atholville and some of the facilities from Zenabis because of the focus on Redecan facilities. And a lot of companies just over-planned for their capacity, right? They just they didn't really accurately predict what the market demand was going to be like, and obviously the black market playing a role as well. But HEXO went through the same thing with bankruptcy, FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt is CGC, Canopy going through the same thing. And Pow Group member, you know who you are. You made a good point that all this bankruptcy talk from these LPs, these leading LPs, may entice and may encourage the Canadian government to start acting and doing something with regards to excise taxes, with regards to limitations of 30 grams per order, with regards to limitations on drinks. The list goes on and on and on. We could allow it in restaurants and bars and venues and events, things like that. I was at Russell Peters' Actor Age tour last night here in Edmonton. It was fantastic. Imagine being able to go to an event like that, and maybe you're somebody who doesn't consume alcohol and doesn't want to pay $14 for a beer. Wouldn't it be great if they just had a MJ-infused beverage option as well, right? I think we're going to get there. There's so much growth to be had in this industry. And again, this news with Zenabis, I don't want to say it was expected, but I'm not surprised because of this new Tilray arrangement. And personally, I don't think it's the end of the world. It was a much needed step in the recovery process, and I think it's going to be positive overall in the long run. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. We'll continue the conversation. Always love hearing from you. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rod with Power Group. If you could smash the like one more time on your way out, I would appreciate it. Share this video with anybody that may find value, and tick the bell to be notified on any future updates. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, and we'll see you in the next video.